What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at ya with a Storm the Festival deck, my first one actually. I prefaced this video in the description as well with the statement that I think holds true, and we will see whether that is the case by the end of the video. But essentially, over the last couple of days, there's been a slew. I've just been coming across every different permutation of this, okay? All you need to do is put in Esika's Chariot and Wrenn and Seven into a deck with Storm the Festival, okay? So you can play it in mono green, but if you just pick one other color or two other colors and just take all the best cards from those colors and throw them in with Esika's Chariot, Wrenn and Seven, and Storm the Festival, ta-da! Instant good deck. You just have this automatic pwnage deck. I've seen the Sultai version that's also running, a couple of counter spells and a few copies of the Alrune's Epiphany. I've also seen the Teamer version, where people have just thrown in Goldspan Dragon with the whole thing. I've seen Mono Green, of course. I featured it in a quick little news flash snippet earlier this afternoon. It's going all over the place. You can make all sorts of different builds around these three cards, and you're guaranteed to have a pretty good deck on your hands. This is the Golgari version, black and green, and I think it's pretty freaking amazing. I'm gonna do the usual, just describe the deck, sort of run through the cards from left to right, explain how it is that we're gonna win the game, if it isn't abundantly obvious by this point, and then we'll jump into some games and wrap up at the end with our final thoughts. And yeah, that's it. So Golgari Festival. Ooh, now every time I do this, whenever I get to this point of the stream, I'm like, I've missed something. I can already tell here I'm probably going to want to put like one of the creature lands, just in case. It's a bad idea not to have at least one. Lair the Hydra in the brew. So, typical little ramp package: Deadly Dispute, Shambling Ghast, Eyetwitch. So it gives us access to the lesson board through the Eyetwitch's learn ability. Allows us to create treasures through the Shambling Ghast being sacrificed to Deadly Dispute, or the Eyetwitch being sacrificed to Deadly Dispute. Also doubles as a little bit of card draw. We've also got Prosperous Innkeeper, which is actually a deceptive amount of life gain in the deck, which you really sort of need to push into those slightly later games, because whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain one life. Because we're making lots of tokens throughout the game, every time one of those tokens enters the battlefield, you gain a life. If you've got multiple Prosperous Innkeepers in play, you're gaining 2 life. And then we've also got the Meathook Massacre, which whenever a creature you control dies, the opponent loses 1 life, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. So a little bit of life gain there between the Prosperous Innkeeper and the Meathook Massacre. And not, of course, Meathook Massacre also doubles as a alternate win con if we've made a big enough field of little cats with the pussy wagon, with whatever else we might have on the board. We just wipe it when the opponent is down to 5, 6, 7 health. Brrr, all the triggers go off with the Massacre, ends the game many times. We've also got Infernal Grasp as removal. So removal, reason to run. The problem I had today was I was playing, I was grinding into Mythic. I'm almost there. We're going to be playing this deck in unranked, because I'm like 3 games away from Mythic, and I think this deck is really good enough to do your Mythic run. but I'm also tired and I've been playing Magic all day and I'm 3 games away from Mythic and I just don't want to risk it. I'll probably take this game onto this brew onto the ladder first thing tomorrow morning and get there before the month ends. But we're going to play it in unranked for tonight. And where was I? What was I saying? Oh yes, the problem with the one that I was playing today, which was mono green, is that it just had only one removal spell, pseudo removal, in the form of Blizzard Brawl. And I was finding myself winning a lot, of course, as the little clip from this afternoon showed, because it is busted as hell just having these 2 cards without even the Storm the Festival in a deck. But the problem was there wasn't enough removal. If I was running against a mono white player on the draw, or a good control deck or something like that, I was often finding myself unable to push through to the end game because the opponent was either removing all of my stuff or I was unable to remove their stuff. And so I tried a few of the others. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's many good versions of this sort of deck, like the Sultai one with a little bit of counter magic to try and make up for the fact that I didn't have removal, and a little bit of removal, but then I found myself not having enough removal in the Sultai version, and that Alrund's Epiphany, yes, is a good card, but it's really not that essential in this particular deck. I mean, it's good in any moment. Taking an extra turn is always good, but it wasn't exactly what it needed, so I found myself thinking, okay, let's take the blue out, and let's just put in more black, more removal. Let's have a sweeper in there, because blue doesn't have a sweeper, and when I was playing it in Sultai, I didn't have Meathook Massacre, I just had Infernal Grasp, Binding of the Old Gods, and that wasn't enough removal to really handle the mono-white aggro lists. So, like I said, cut out the blue, put in some Meathook Massacres, and this little 3-card here, learn, draw, treasure package thing, and things just got a hell of a lot better because we can sweep the mono-white guys, we can ramp a little easier with the treasures, and it's been working incredibly well. Anyway, onwards. The next cards we've got is, of course, 4 copies of Esika's Chariot. When it ETBs, you create 2/2 green cat creature tokens, and whenever it attacks, you create a token that's a copy of target token you control. So, before I continue, what tokens are we making? Okay, we can make treasure tokens, so you can copy those. Probably never going to happen, but you can do it. You've got the cat tokens from Esika's Chariot. You've got the tree folk token from Wrenn and Seven, which is the main one we're trying to copy. But we've also got 2 copies of Mascot Exhibition in the deck, which have just proven to be incredible. Not only if you've got Prosperous Innkeeper in play do you get to gain like 3 life when you cast the spell, but also you can use the Chariot to you can use the the elemental to crew the Chariot and copy it, or you can. It gives you a lot of versatility because you can copy the flying one. There is only one other thing with flying in the deck, which is Eyetwitch, and it's often just sacrificial fodder to the Deadly Dispute. So having the ability to occasionally, in a tough sort of mid to late game, copy the Inkling with Esika's Chariot is actually pretty game-ending in some cases. I've had it win me 2 games now in testing. So just keep that in mind. That is the other token creator that we have in the deck. And of course, last but not least, very rare, hardly ever going to happen, we can occasionally create a pest if we kill or remove or destroy a let's say class enchantment with Containment Breach, but that's neither here nor there. Next up, Binding of the Old Gods, 4 of. Destroy target non-land permanent. Why wouldn't I run it? I'm thinking I could even do something like remove 1 and put in like a Shadow Spear. So I beg your pardon, not Shadow Spear, what's it called? I think it is Shadow Spear I'm thinking of. Mortality Spear, beg your pardon. This costs 2 less if you gain life this turn. We do gain a bit of life here and there, but I do prefer to have the ramping from Binding of the Old Gods. We'll see. Maybe during the game I'll trade 2 copies of Binding for 2 copies of the Shadow Spear, because the first chapter of Binding and the first and Shadow Spear do exactly the same thing: destroy target non-land permanent. The problem with this is creature lands like Faceless Haven. We can't get rid of creature lands because, you know, at that point it's become a land again, because this comes in on your turn. And the same goes for the Mortality Spear. You cannot hit things like Faceless Haven and all the other creature lands that are in the format right now with it. So for that reason, I'm also just running 2 copies of Field of Ruin to take care of those things. And we do have 3 copies of Infernal Grasp at instant speed that also kind of helps us with that. Second chapter, search your library for a forest card. So I didn't want only basic forests. I slid in a couple of Woodland Chasms as other cards that can be searched up by Binding of the Old Gods. I think most of the games pick this one. If you know, I've only got 2 of them, so whenever you get to the second chapter of Binding of the Old Gods, go for the Woodland Chasm rather than the forest. It's the better option in my opinion. I think I'd rather run 6 forests and 5 swamps, although well, we'll see. You know, more on the mana base in a moment. Next up, Wrenn and Seven. What a planeswalker. We all knew during spoiler season when they spoiled this thing, but now it's really starting to come into its own. Like, people have figured out exactly how it is that we want to be playing this thing. My biggest problem with it, because people figured out the Esika's Chariot thing really quickly early on, and I was like, well, is that it? Are we just putting it in the battlefield -3 and making a copy of the Tree Folk token with Esika? Then the next time you +1, what if you end up putting, you know, another important card that you actually need in the graveyard and we have no way of getting it out? This card is going to fit into many different builds, and there's still one in my mind that hasn't quite crystallized and solidified into a good brew yet, but there has to be some sort of reanimator deck where, like, you reveal the top 4 cards of the library, put them into your graveyard, and then reanimate them later, or, you know, things where, like, stuff in graveyards matter. But I was always having that issue, like, well, what if we mill, or, you know, sort of put into the graveyard, essentially mill something that we need, like on the spot, like Meathook Massacre, or, you know, one of our only 2 copies of Storm the Festival ends up in the graveyard. Not only can you flash this one back, but it costs 10 to flash back Storm the Festival. So I wasn't too convinced about this card, but the thing that's saving it in this brew is Harness Infinity as a sneaky one-of in the late game. You top deck Harness Infinity, all of that stuff that you've put into the graveyard with Wrenn, you can exchange your hand with your graveyard. You have to do this at instant speed during your opponent's end step, right in the late game. You top deck this thing, you wait, you say go. Your hand is empty except for this card. Your opponent's end step, you cast Harness Infinity, you bring everything back that you put in the graveyard with Wrenn and Seven to your hand, untapped with this huge hand, and that wins the games more often than not. I love this card. Whenever I play Golgari, I try to slip 1 copy in because it's that good. And then Storm the Festival. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put up to 2 permanent cards with mana value 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So we're not going to be running. That was also the thing, like the decks that were, you know, that I tried earlier today. Sultai had a couple of copies of things like Coma and all these like 6-7 mana spells that Storm the Festival doesn't hit. So you want to keep your like really good cards to mana value 5 and less, so that you actually hit them with Storm the Festival. So for that reason, I'm not running anything other, you know, the higher mana. Like, this is actually over here on the curve. It's the same cost: 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. Oh, okay. I don't know why the deck builder earlier put them together, but this is 7. This is 6. But anyway, this isn't a permanent, so all the permanents are mana value 5 or less for Storm the Festival to hit. And that's it. I mean, that's the deck. It's pretty straightforward. We're just trying to do the Esika's Chariot, Wrenn and Seven thing, while at the same time controlling the battlefield. And if worse comes to worse, we can, create a lot of pussies with the Pussy Wagon and a lot of other tokens, like I mentioned, Mascot Exhibition, etc., and then just sweep our own board with Meathook Massacre and win that way. We've also got, like I just did, adjustments in the early part of the deck tech, a sneaky copy of Lair of the Hydra for like a post-sweep final blow, and that's the deck. I really like it. The amount of ramp that we can obtain with Deadly Dispute, Shambling Ghast, Prosperous Innkeeper means that we often get Esika's Chariot down on like turn 3. Binding of the Old Gods also helps us ramp. I think as far as numbers of what in the deck, we're at a good place. I might just adjust a few things, down one, up one, here and there throughout the stream, and then as usual, don't forget that the deck that you will see at the end of the video is the one that I find to be the best version, and that will be the one that I'm putting in the video description down below and uploading to either hub for you guys. And the link for that is also in the description down below. But alright, that's the brew. Lands, 2 Fields of Ruins, 1 Witherbloom Campus for some scry, 3 Snarls, 4 Pathways, 1 Lair of the Hydra, 6 Forest, 5 Swamps. Full lesson board, Necrotic Fumes. You could sacrifice a cat and exile something annoying. An enemy's Wrenn and Seven, potentially. Environmental Science for the ramp. Containment Breach to get rid of artifacts if you do not have access to a Binding of the Old Gods. Introduction to Prophecy, scry 2, draw a card, 2 Mascot Exhibitions, 1 Confront the Past to go fetch back our Wrenn and Seven. So we have Confront the Past and the Harness Infinity as ways of bringing our important cards back from the grave. Well, Confront the Past will only ever bring Wrenn and Seven back, but also Harness Infinity can do that in the late game. Alrighty, let's do this. So at this point in the stream, as usual, if I could kindly ask everybody who's watching, either live or on the replay, to consider subscribing to the channel if they have not done so already. I'm triggering when we reach 200 subs, it will trigger a giveaway. The information about that giveaway is also in the video description down below. So if you want to take part in the giveaway, go have a look at that video and you will be informed by the end of it. It's a short little clip and it'll tell you what it is that you need to do to sign up. Whatever, it's unranked, let's keep it. We're just showcasing the deck. Ooh, there we go. A Ghast. Also, don't forget to do all the other good YouTube stuff if you could be so kind. Like the video, leave me a comment, and if you would like to be notified of future content uploads, just hit the bell icon and you'll get a notification every single time I put anything on the channel. I'm gonna bounce my Shambling Ghast, Mr. Simic, Mr. Lujo Man. Oh wow. Venture into the dungeon. I've never seen this card on the battlefield. That is a first. Nice. Get that out of your hand. I'd love to top deck Esika's Chariot at this point. Okay, so a full-on venture deck. He's gone for the Phandelver Mine. Wow, doesn't attack. I was sure he would. Okay. Alright. Okay. Gosh. Should we just go for the festival? I'm tempted. No. Prosperous Innkeeper instead. A little bit of life gain. Also put a reach. This guy seems to be playing some flying cards. We can storm the festival next turn and hopefully hit the Seeker's Chariot, which would be just freaking fan-bloody-tastic. Okay, another flyer. Thank goodness. Put a counter on something. No. Oh wow. Okay, interesting. What was that final temple of whatever? Okay, no blocks. Nice. Total fail. Bye-bye. 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need 2 more. We're going to get one from the binding next turn. Okay. We're stabilizing just a little bit. Go for the chasm always. Start applying a bit of pressure with the tree folk. We've got, I can chunk block with the Eyetwitch. We can remove something with the Infernal Grasp, so I'm not too worried. No sign of a Seeker's Chariot so far. The Wretchen Titch Willow. It's combat damage, put a counter on it, blah blah blah, can't be blocked. Okay. Okay. No problem. We will daily dispute the Eyetwitch during the opponent's turn. and that'll allow us to cast Storm the Festival if we don't top deck, you know, what we want, which is Wrenn and Seven and the Chariot. Luhoman. Lujoman? Luhoman. I feel like it's Luhoman. Lujoman. Wandering Troubadour. If a land enters the battlefield, blah blah blah, venture. Should we get rid of that? Did he put a land into play this turn? That's alright. He hasn't had any, you know, counter spells yet. Okay. Still no freaking. There we go. And we can still scry. Again with the Lost Mine. Sure. I would have attacked if I were you, buddy. Okay, so we don't need to rush out the Wrenn. I think I'm more interested in gaining a bit of life, creating a little bit more of a board presence. We can chuck a mascot exhibition on top of a couple of Prosperous Innkeepers. That's always fun. And leave up 2 mana for the Infernal Grasp. Oh no! Nice. Second counter spell gone. Yeah. Okay, still no block. Double venture. Makes a goblin and probably puts a counter on something. On the Troubadour. Off you go, Troubadour. Thank goodness we didn't cast that Wrenn. He had that counter spell. Okay, now we've got 2 Wrens. I still would rather find the Esika's Chariot though. There we go. Oh, that's a lot of life gain. That is beautiful. Bing, 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 bing. Sure. That is beautiful. Right back up to 24. That incidental little bit of life gain with the Prosperous Innkeeper is just really, really good in the deck, of course. Swinging in with my Tree Folk. Probably gets blocked by the Goblin. Almost certainly. Yeah. Sacrificial fodder. We can chump block with some cats if necessary, or maybe 1 cat, 1 Eyetwitch, but I don't think we have much to worry about. We could also just crew Esika and have a 4/4. Ooh, Death Touch. Okay. Nice. That's fine. We've got 2 more in hand. I think what we should do with this Eyetwitch is get the what's it called again? confront the past. I think that's the last Eyetwitch we have in the... No, there's one more in the deck. Sorry, buddy. Bye-bye, Mr. Death Touch. Sure. Too much for the opponent to handle. Very nice. Took a very long while to dig through for the Chariot in that one, but we got there in the end. People are still testing this dungeon mechanic. I am not impressed at all. I'm actually dying to watch World Champs. Not only is it just going to be draft with the new set, Midnight Hunt, but it's also standard and there's no historic, which just makes me super happy. I know there's a lot of people that love historic. I have nothing against historic, but I don't have a big enough collection or the brain power to focus on two formats like that. I'm definitely a standard type of a guy. And the fact that they're just playing draft and standard at the World Champs just makes me so happy, and we're going to get to see what the best players on the planet bring to World Champs with Midnight Hunt having been released already. I'm super duper excited. It'll be interesting to see if anybody's playing any venture mechanic whatsoever. But yeah, I'm fairly certain we're going to be seeing quite a bit of Wrenn and Seven and Esika's Chariot. And Storm the Festival, for sure. It's like a slightly less good version of, it's kinda like Emergent Ultimatum. Okay. No black. 2 Massacres. Probably should mulligan this away. That's a little better. Can't get over the art on this one. So sick. Okay, if it's mono green, okay. Mirror match. How many times does this happen with the bloody? Oh, that's a pity. With in best of one, this happens over and over again. What should we fetch? I think that's an excellent idea. Bye bye. Off you go. And we get another chump blocker. We can Meathook Massacre if we, have nothing better to do next turn. Just get rid of his token and gain a bit of life, and just have it there for the, now it's an enchantment. It stays on the battlefield, so for the rest of the game we'll get that benefit. Although I'm fairly certain the opponent is running something like before he has access to Snakeskin Veil. Probably he's also running some copies of Binding of the Old Gods. Now with the treasure we can play Wrenn next turn. Death Touch Rat. Okay. Fight spell. Another Surge. Wow, that's a lot of ramp. That is a lot of ramp. What are you doing? Is this some kind of fin thing? Okay. More ramp? It's a lot of ramp for a Golgari deck. Is there Scoot Swarm in here? That would make me very happy. As we do have 2 Meathook Massacres in hand. There's like 3 copies of Wrenn and 4 copies of the Chariot. We haven't top decked a single Chariot. We've had to like draw into the deck for it. Opponent. Some kind of instant speed removal. Soul Shatter. Bye bye Wrenn. Luckily we have another copy. Okay. It's not very impressive at all. What was all that ramping for? Unfortunately, he'll probably do the -1. He doesn't need a ramp further, so that's bye-bye Innkeeper. But that's okay. Threatening with 12, but there's a high likelihood of a Blood on the Snow. Now he has to decide, does he want a Blood on the Snow my Wrenn away, or does he want a Blood on the Snow my tokens? Or he might not be running Blood on the Snow. There was a fair bit of creatures going on. I'm still not entirely sure why he had, all of that ramp happening. People in unranked do weird stuff. There it is. I had a feeling. Typhoid rat? Sure. The only bugger up is if we reveal our Harness Infinity with the Wrenn's +1 and it ends up in the graveyard, then we really have very little way of getting things back from the graveyard, which is quite frustrating. It's the worst part about this card in my opinion, but okay. What was that? Ray of Enfeeblement. Okay. Okay, Binding of the Old Gods went into the graveyard, as well as an Eyetwitch. That's fine. Old Nobleman. Wow. Interesting. Okay, I think we need to make the 3/3 and just, the blocker. How big can we make this Hydra? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can make it into a 6/6. That's alright, we'll hang tight. If I attack, he won't block, I don't think. Then he attacks, makes 7 treasures. He's got so much land anyway, I'm not too worried about what he could be possibly ramping into. And I'm okay taking 7 if he takes 8, so let's give that a try. Nice. What do you got? What did you get? That hurts. That hurts a lot. Nice. Wow. That's terrible. Doesn't swing with the clicks. Okay. Interesting choice. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Woo! Okay, let's do a 7. A 7 mana Meathook. Nice. Hope he top decks a land. Looks like it. If it was an answer to my token, he'd have played it already. Don't forget, we've also got the Hydra just chilling here, ready to attack, ready to pounce. Deep thoughts. 10, 11, 18 mana available opponent. Let's be a little cheeky. Okay, he's got it. But that's not gonna save you, buddy, because we've got the Lair of the Hydra. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So it's 2 to make it into the thing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Boom. It's a little easy on unranked, but what can you do? One should never feel too bad about winning. Ever. I've just heard my son wake up in the room next door, which is a problem. I might have to go and check on that if he doesn't fall asleep again. Okay, yeah. Be right back. My wife helping me out. Nice. Very nice. I just have to hope that that is not a sword coming. We do have 2 copies of Wrenn if it is. Go for the prophecy. Okay. Ooh. What's it gonna be? It is. No, it isn't. Interesting. There we go. We're doing the thing. Does he have instant speed artifact removal? Seems highly likely by the way he's touching. Or is it the exile card? Exile target tapped. You shouldn't have used it on that. I would have used it on the Esika. I got another. Again. Okay. Down to 1. Do you have a Doomscar? Is it a Doomscar that you have over there? Oh. Okay, it's not going to win you the game. Sorry, bud. You shouldn't have attacked either. Good game. Alright, ladies and gents. I'm going to have to cut this one a little early. I think I have time for one more quickie. But then I have to go look after my boy. He's got a little bit of stomachache. Probably from the flight. I also always get a little bit of stomach troubles after flying on a plane. Last match. The deck feels really, really good. Really, really powerful. Lots of answers to everything. Very nice. Noble Llama. Yes. Mono white, please. Loads of little tiny creatures which I'm gonna Meathook Massacre the hell out of here. Perfection. Turn 3 Esika's Chariot feels good. Feels really good. Oros. Okay. I haven't played against this card at all, to be honest. Boom, boom. This card is so good. Okay. Interesting. People testing some crazy jank in unranked. Diddy. How you doing, my bro? I'm glad you like it. It's insanely busted. Ooh, nice. Very nice. I had a feeling he was keeping that in hand. Go first strike. I know. I'm well aware. He doesn't know what I've got here. He might be worried of losing his Raptor. Okay, that's game. Don't even have to. Yeah, whatever. That's just game. Oh, baby. Alright, that's going to have to be it for tonight, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for watching. I have some daddy duties to attend to, but I will see you all tomorrow with some fresh brews. Keep your eyes peeled. I've been working on some stuff all day today. I'm going to grind Mythic in the morning, and if I make it, then I've got a celebratory end of the season Mythic deck that I would like to unveil. So until then, thanks again so much for watching. This is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace.